Okay, this is Ken Rossignol with the Chesapeake Today. I'm speaking with Bobby Swann, former Comptroller, Deputy Comptroller, and Calvert County Commissioner. Bobby, when did you start working for the Maryland government, and in what capacity?
I started in 1961. I was a alcohol investigator, alcohol tax investigator at the time. And I worked out of the Baltimore office of the comptrollers.
And when did you start working as a Deputy Comptroller?
Well, I hit that in about 1993. I became Deputy Comptroller.
Okay. And I've had someone try to school me on Facebook on the proper way to pronounce Louie Goldstein's name. Is it Louie or Louis?
Well, you know, people, his name is Louie Goldstein.
Right.
Louie L. Goldstein, of course, but people have called him Louie for forever, and it goes all the way across the state of Maryland, even past that, but people call him Louie.
Right. Well, I thought you'd be the authority to ask on that. Okay.
Well, I have a lot of time listening to that.
Right. How long were you Deputy Comptroller?
I was Deputy Comptroller for 5 years, and I woke up one day and I was Comptroller. So, not that I wanted it under those circumstances,
Right.
for sure.
Well, I know that Louie Goldstein was hard to keep up with, because I spent a day with him while he was out on his actions one day in 1994 when he's still running for his, I guess, his last term.
Probably, yes,
And how did you keep up with him?
I don't know, I started at a young age. I kind of, in about 1964, Louis only had one driver, a state trooper, Donald Gibson, who's a county resident, and he had a spare that helped on occasion, but that man got sick. They called me one day and asked me if I'd meet with the comptroller, and I, of course, said yes, and I met him. As a matter of fact, I met him at the firehouse in Prince Frederick on his way home. And the trooper was there along with Louis, and they said, look, we got a problem, and maybe you can help us out for a little while. And would you mind going with Louis around the state and working with him for a while until we get some more help? And I agreed to that readily. And that started, I guess, he and I became acclimated to each other. I liked him, and over time I found out he liked me. And so I later, after about 4 years of that, he wanted me to come in the office and work with him inside. And I did that. My first job was to work with the budget along with another smarter man than myself.
Do you remember how much a budget was that year?
It was somewhere, I think, in the neighborhood of 800 or 900 million dollars. It was less than $1 billion at that time.
And what was that year again?
That was 1990. It would have been fiscal year 1995.
And now they have a deficit of almost twice that.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Well, that's all right. They'll raise the taxes.
Well,
Nobody wants to leave this state, do they?
well,
They love paying taxes. So when you took over as comptroller, you did that for the balance of that term,
right, exactly.
okay? Which is about 8, 9 months?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you thought you were just going to be able to retire, right?
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Well, I had Schaefer talk to me, and he and I talked about that. And he asked me if I would stay on to help with any transition, at least. And I decided I would do that. And in fact, I was ready to stay a little bit. I stayed 9 months, and I probably would have stayed a little bit longer. But there wasn't room for 2 comptrollers in that office. And he always looked back, he always thought that I was, whatever I said was Louie talking.
And Schaefer was the new comptroller.
Yes, that's right, at the
Right.
time. Yeah. So it wasn't, it got to the point that I didn't need, I didn't need to get in his way. And I decided that it was time to retire, and I retired. That was, I was 64 years old.
How long did that retirement last?
Well, just before I officially retired, I had Johnny Wood call me and ask me if I would meet with him. And I met him over in Charlotte Hall, and he wanted to know if I could, if there was any possibility that I could take on the Executive Director of the Tri-County Council, and at least for a year, while the President Director at that time was in Bosnia for a year. So at any rate, I did that. And I stayed there about 14 months at that time. In the meantime, Pat decided he was going to leave the County Commissioner's office, Pat Buell. And so there was a vacancy there. And Miller was very much after me doing it.
Senator Mike Miller.
Mike Miller.
Right.
Mike Miller was very much after me doing it. And Governor Clendenin was as well. So it wasn't something that I really wanted, but I did it. And I was there.
And specifically, you took over the balance of the term for County Commissioner Pat Bueller.
That's right. And I did that at the same time I was still Executive Director of Tri-County Council. So I had 2 jobs running for 6 months of that period. But anyway, I did it. And so I stayed in the County Commissioner's office for 2.5 years, I guess it was. And I decided somewhere along towards the end of that term that I just didn't want to run for it. I didn't want the job. The job was just not something that I liked. I had been used to making decisions and doing things.
And being a county commissioner, you were part of a committee.
That's exactly right. There's 5 people sitting there. And it was kind of like, a little bit like herding cats most of the time. And everybody had an agenda. And I didn't come there with an agenda. I didn't have anything that I wanted to do, but I was willing to help with anything that I was doing. Well, that never happened. David Hale was the one guy that I could have reasonable conversations with.
He was a pretty common sense guy.
Yeah, I could have reasonable conversations with him. He and I got along fine. Barbara Stennett, she could get elected every time that it came up. She was a smart gal. She knew what she was doing, but nobody else ever knew what she was doing. You know, it just didn't work as part of the committee. And we had Doug Perrin, his first term, and he had no government experience whatsoever. He had no knowledge about government, and every day was a new day for him.
Yeah, but his grandfather was congressman.
That's right.
That's all you need, isn't it?
That's right. It's all you need. And of course, we had Linda Kelly. Linda Kelly was a great person. I enjoyed Linda Kelly. I liked her a lot. But politically.
But it was kind of like herding cats because they named the animal shelter after it.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Okay.
Exactly. Politically, we never could find much room between for the two of us, but that happens a lot. So, but anyway, I had the 2.5 years. It was up to me what I was going to do, and finally, one day, my wife didn't want me to do it. That was another thing. She didn't like the idea that she and I couldn't go somewhere without somebody wanting something or what have you. And for that reason, that was another reason that I thought.
There really wasn't any private life.
No private life. There's always something going on. And I give kudos to those people that do the job and do it well. I didn't think I would ever do the job that well. And I just decided it's a good time for me to really retire for a while. So I did. I went to Florida. We bought a house in Florida, and we had our home. Still, we had built that home at this time, this home right here, and sold the home on St. Leonard's Creek. But we spent 6 months in Florida and 6 months here in Solomons, and we were enjoying ourselves. And we did over a period of 13 years, and finally, with different health problems for both of us, our daughter thought we better come home where she could help us out, and she couldn't help us out in Florida. So we sold the house in Florida and we moved back here to Solomons full time. And we've been here ever since 2017 full time. And there was one thing I did in there. I had to go back as
So basically, you retired and moved north.
yeah.
Not many people do that.
Not many.
Okay.
But I did take, in 2006, I did have to go back to Tri-County Council and run that over a period of probably 9 months, I think it was. And during that point in time, we did a survey and tried to find somebody to take the job full time. And that was what I accomplished, getting a new executive director out of that full time. So that was my last check, so to speak.
What do you think now, after being the county commissioner for 2.5 years, what do you think now of the job that the county commissioners today are doing in trying to balance the need of desires that people want and growth that people don't want and the impact of taxes? Do you think they're doing a good job at handling that?
I don't know who you would put in up at the Board of County Commissioners that would not get overrun with the things you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they can really put the brakes on anything because it's coming at them too fast.
Well, a number of years ago, the Calvert Commissioners kind of did a pretty good job on restricting the amount of townhouses and garden apartments and big box stores. And they put a lid on it so much that a lot of the developers all went to St. Mary's County.
That's what they did. I saw them do it.
Yeah. So you think now the force of the developers is to try to take the lid off the box?
Well, I'm sure they would do what they can to do that. I don't know whether they can or they will do that. I think we have a pretty decent Board of County Commissioners right now. Buddy Hance has done a good job. You have 3 out of the 5 whose roots in Calvert County go back a long ways from their families and so forth.
Yeah, kind of like Hagner Mister
Yeah, right.
and Bernie Fowler. They're both great commissioners.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think there's some hope that those guys can get a handle on some of this, and I don't think it's going to be easy. I swear, taxes are just one of those things that's just hard to get a handle on when you've got the growth that we have. I think the condos or the apartments in Prince Frederick are going to be a costly thing to the county. They're not going to pay for themselves in taxes, and I wish they hadn't done it, to be quite honest with you. Therefore, that's another reason for taxes to go up. It's not a big one, but it is a reason. They draw down from the 2 big plants here. That's gonna start falling back to some degree. That's a problem.
The business park that they put in up the road here, it's never really worked, right?
No.
Was that just too ambitious, or the wrong place, or the wrong time, or not enough incentive for people to?
We got a lot of, I was on the board at the time. We got a lot of money from the state to do that. So the cost to the county was not a great big deal at that point in time. It did not sell as well, and I thought it would take a real hard selling jobs to get things in there. But the property was there, and we kept it off of residential.
We got a water tower out of it.
It got a water tower out of it, and so it's not something that's. It'll be there over time, and over time something will happen there to put more in there.
Well, the one at Barstow has been a lot more successful.
Yes, no question about it.
Yeah.
And nobody thought that would be successful at the time. I can remember discussions about it. Remember when the land was bought and all that, and nobody thought that would be successful. It turned out to be a great success. But the thought was at the time also that we would draw maybe something there to St. Mary's County to there, but that never happened. So it is what it is.
What about the bridge? You look at it every day.
Yeah.
And people keep hollering that, we need a second bridge, or we need a replacement bridge. I hear reports that there's holes down in the stanchions that are holding the supports up and like that. The name of the company that designed the bridge was Century Engineering, and they had to close it in just 10 years. They should have changed their name to Decade Engineering. But the bridge is inspected all the time, and the state of Maryland, if you trust them, tells you that it's in okay shape.
Well, they've been telling us that for a long time.
Well, we know the government lies to us incessantly at all levels.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But, so you're trusting with your life on that one.
Yeah.
But a new bridge wouldn't have to be as high, because that bridge was planned with the concept and idea that there would be a deepwater port at Myrtle Point. And of course, that won't happen.
Yeah.
So now couldn't they make a lower bridge next to it that would be harder to commit suicide off of? I mean, you never heard of anybody jumping off the Benedict Bridge.
No, you never have. No,
Right.
Exactly.
They wouldn't.
I can remember one of the conversations. It was a conversation between Louie Goldstein and the Secretary of Transportation at the time, and one of the benefits of being 88 years old is that I can't remember all the names of people, but at that time,
We can Google them.
yeah, we can Google them. At any rate, this conversation was held with the Secretary of Transportation, as I said at the time. And Lewis said to him, this was after the bridge had gone through the 1988 shutdown. Lewis said to the Secretary of Transportation, you're going to have to start planning for a second bridge. He said, St. Mary's County cannot handle all the traffic needs over there without this bridge. The bridge we have is too small. It's almost at its limits even now. When the bridge opened back up, it was just traffic everywhere. Well, today, that was so true. Today, it's multiplied so many times from what it was in 1989, 1990, multiplied by so many. And I had conversations when I was in the Comptroller's office. One of the things that I did for Lewis, starting way back, that he got me into was Board of Public Works. And I started in that about 1970, being the one staff person that did Board of Public Works projects. And I got to know a lot of the people from other agencies, and I had good rapport with a lot of people. And certainly some of that was with Department of Transportation, State Highways, and so forth, that I had conversations with about different things. And I was oftentimes saying to people, look, that bridge is not going to last us forever. We will never be able to handle the traffic. It's getting worse and worse and worse. I said, we have backups, we have accidents, and even then we had a couple of, one or two, I believe, at that time, people that had jumped. So I certainly did do as much jawboning as I could do during that period of time about that bridge. And I don't know, there was a Calvert Independent article, front page article, pictures taken right in that field, conversation I had with the reporter with the Calvert Independent at the time. And I thought that might get something going, but it never did. And different people have tried to do something to get things going. As far as the Dry County Council, every year for years, that was the #1 job on the list for Southern Maryland. But nobody in Annapolis ever paid any attention to it. The other thing is I was very disappointed with Sandy Hoyer about this bridge, because I thought he could have been more help to Southern Maryland for the bridge. In 1994, he was one of the guys that stood up and said how important it was to get this the base and get them to doing what their president doing here at the base, with a lot more people, what have you, a lot of jobs and so forth and so on. Nobody ever said anything about the bridge being a problem.
Pardon me, I gotta change the battery.
Okay.